Yeah.
But speaking of predictions, I want to hear. So I based what our predictions for the seeding, how the conferences will end up 1 through 10 at the end of the 21-22 season. I made mine not off the best, not saying these are the best 10 teams. I said I figured this is how the seedings will fall. So just because the Nets aren't one doesn't mean I don't think they're the best team in the East. So that's how I organized mine. Let's start with the East. What are your top 10? How do you think the seed's going to fall?
Yeah, I organized mine similarly. I actually do think the Brooklyn Nets are going to be number one because I think they're going to get healthier. And regardless, they don't really need everybody to be healthy every game to be the best team in the NBA. So I have faith that they're going to have an awesome season. Guys like James Harden and Kevin Durant are maybe going to look to prove doubters a little bit more wrong just by having another great season and shutting people up. So that's my number one team. Do you want to go back and forth on this? Or do you want me to just run through them?
You can just run down, and we'll go
Okay.
through.
Yeah, so Nets, obviously number one. Two, I got the defending champs, Milwaukee Bucks. I think in terms of players and acquisitions, it would have been nice to keep PJ Tucker, obviously. I understand why they couldn't just with the luxury tax bill. But getting Bobby Portis back on such a cheap deal is incredible. And they are able to bring back George Hill, who they never wanted to get rid of. And they're able to bring in Grayson Allen, who's going to be a great player, especially in the playoffs for them when they need a big-time ankle grab.
Mm-hmm. Rodney Hood and Yabusele, too.
And oh yes, Rodney Hood was a guy that I really liked when he was on the Blazers, and I like his shooting potential. Just a matter if he can stay healthy.
Yep. And Yabusele is more of a replacement for PJ Tucker. Not as good as a defender. Obviously, can't hit a corner three, but I think he's a good piece.
Yeah. Regardless, Bobby Portis has that PJ Tucker mentality. I'm sure PJ Tucker rubbed off on a lot of these guys with his time being there. So I'm sure that they can give themselves a good chance to repeat this season. Number three, I have the Miami Heat because they brought in Kyle Lowry and they brought in PJ Tucker. And this is a team that was in the championship, the finals, just 2 seasons ago. And I have good faith that they're going to have a really nice season this year. I think Jimmy Butler is going to he's going to have to perform well, at least in the regular season. I don't know how they're going to do in the playoffs. Obviously, he was horrible in the first round, but I like their odds this year, but I like their odds at having a good season.
Definitely.
Number 4, giving a nod to the Atlanta Hawks on this one. Love where they ended up at the end of the season. And I think after that, I've got to give them credit and assume that they're going to be in a good position to be a top 5 conference or top half player in the conference this year.
Okay.
Number 5, I've got the Philadelphia 76ers. So obviously a decent drop from 1 to 5, but this is banking on Ben Simmons no longer being on the team. And I think they're holding out for a Damian Lillard trade. I don't think it's going to come. I think they're in over their heads if they think they're going to get Damian Lillard this offseason because by all accounts and everything that he's been saying, everything we're seeing, he plans on running it back with the Blazers at least one more year. So the Sixers are going to have to cave and take a Ben Simmons trade here unless they want that, media shitstorm because he doesn't want to be there. Doc Rivers doesn't want to be there. Joel Embiid doesn't want to be there. People don't want him to be there, so don't make him be there. Right. It will be a distraction if they make that happen. And regardless, once they do trade him away, I don't think they're going to get nearly the value they want to get. They're not going to get a ready-now player. They'll probably get some nice picks, but they're going to have to take a step back as a team this year.
Yeah, the latest report was that they've kind of held off trade talks with everyone because they're waiting on to see if Damian Lillard will become available. It did say that the main 3 teams that are leading their the trade discussions with the 76ers are the Spurs, Warriors, and the Timberwolves, actually. So those are the top 3 that they're in discussions with, but I assume have the best offers for them.
Yeah, I can't help but think the Timberwolves just being used by leverage in this, but that's just the.
I doubt they'll make it. I think the Warriors could put together a better package
if they end up wanting him. But the fit with Draymond Green is very questionable, and I hope they do it just so it implodes on them, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll see.
But so number 5, I got the Philadelphia 76ers. Number 6, I got the Boston Celtics. This would be kind of a disappointing spot for them, I would think. They probably want to end up top 4. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they both had awesome seasons this last year. They should, in theory, be just as good, if not better. The Marcus Smart situation's up in the air. They're not sure if they want to keep him or not. I think they should. I mean, if they get rid of him, I don't think they're going to get anybody as good. But losing Fournier was kind of a bummer in terms of their scoring efforts. And they bring in Dennis Schroeder on a good deal. I like that. Obviously, he's become a meme for, turning down that big contract. But just in terms of basketball, they got a steal for a backup point guard. So they should be very excited about that. And they brought Enes Kanter back, so why not?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Number 7, I've got the Chicago Bulls. So I do think they're going to squeak in the playoffs this year. They made enough moves that I loved. Lonzo Ball, I think, is going to be a better acquisition than DeMar DeRozan. But DeMar DeRozan is obviously an incredible player as well. And I think it's just a matter of if the fit with LaVine is going to work out and if they can space the floor well enough, just because the shooting's not exactly where you want it to be with DeRozan. But, you get great players in when you have a chance like that. So I loved the move for them. They didn't have to give up, a ton to get him because they didn't have, cap space. They had to give up the pick and Thad Young. It is what it is. DeMar DeRozan, I think, is going to definitely make a big difference for them, and the Bulls should be able to make it to the playoffs.
Definitely.
Outside of that, number 8, another big drop here is the New York Knicks, a team that I think outperformed themselves this last season. I do like Julius Randle, but he's a one-dimensional guy when it comes to offense, driving to the left and doing post-ups and fadeaways, but I'm just not sure he's going to get a whole lot better this year. But I do like him as a player. I think the Knicks are going to make a bigger leap when they can get a better player next to him. I see R.J. Barrett possibly taking a step back. I like Emmanuel Quigley. Derrick Rose is nice. They've got some good role players that they paid a lot of money to. So hopefully they can make the playoffs, but I think they're not going to get a 4 seed like they did this last year. That was maybe happenstance or whatever, and I just don't expect that to happen again. But rounding out 9 and 10 to potentially get to the play-in is the Charlotte Hornets and the Toronto Raptors. With these teams, there are a couple of up-and-coming teams that have some good young talent. Charlotte just drafted James Bouknight and Kai Jones, who are a couple of flashy players in their own different ways. And they add that to LaMelo Ball, who, I love. I think he's going to keep getting better as well, and especially as a scorer. He's already amazing as a facilitator. If he can get that three-point shot in place, I mean, the sky's the limit for that team. Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, a couple solid players as well. Speaking of which, Miles Bridges was just ordered to pay $200,000 a month to his now ex-wife, who secretly filed a divorce 2 weeks after giving birth to their child.
PJ Washington. That was PJ.
Was that PJ? I thought that was Miles. My bad.
No, yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Messed up.
Can't sleep on these NBA wives, man. They get crazy.
Yep. Gold digger. But anyways, the Toronto Raptors, they drafted Scotty Barnes. I like his potential a lot as a defender. I know when you look at a team who just won a championship a couple seasons ago, you're wondering why not draft for fit. But, hey, they think Scotty Barnes is the best player overall at that point, especially in terms of his defensive abilities and ways to get out in transition. I think it's a good pick, and I'm always going to trust Masai Ujiri over, what some armchair GMs like myself would say. So,
yeah. Solid. Okay.
That's who I got for the East. So
nice. Actually, I agreed with 3 of those. And I'll show you. So, a lot of ours is very similar. So the first for regular season best number 1 seed, I have the Heat. I just think they're going to be most consistent. I think they have the most consistent defense, and they have a good enough offense where they can come out every night and get the most wins out of the East.
Damn, I thought you were gonna dog me for the Heat. Yeah, you're real high on them.
No, yeah, I think they're going to be great. I think they only had a month and a half off season last season. I think that really affected them. And
It's true.
yeah, and they just didn't retain the players they needed to retain. But I think they're going to come back pretty well. Bucks, I have the same position. I think they could easily be the first, but they're going to be testing rotations, putting out new defensive strategies like they did this season. I think that's a good place for them to be. I think the Nets, just because I know they're going to rest the players, and I know Kevin Durant's a play for the playoff team. He doesn't care about the regular season, so I don't see him putting in that much effort into it. And I don't think they're going to be consistent enough on defense. Like, Blake was great in the playoffs defensively, but I just don't think they can come out and do that every night. I think their offense will be good. I think they'll still make a 3 seed. I wouldn't be surprised if they made first seed, but I have them at 3. Where we really differ is 4. I actually have the Knicks at 4. Their defense was great last season. They got Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker, and Mitchell Robinson had to exit halfway through the season, and he's back now. I think that's going to be a huge fit. I think they're opposite of Kevin Durant. They're a regular season. I don't think they'll make it out of the first round again, but I think this is I think they'll make it to the 4th seed.
That'd be great for them. I did forget to mention that they signed Evan Fournier. That is a big acquisition for them to be able to add 17 points per game and some nice shooting. Definitely some potential there, but so I'm not hating on you putting them at 4. I put them at 8 because I'm not really a believer in the success they had last year. Obviously, defensively they were good, but I've seen what a Tom Thibodeau team is ran like, and he will go down to 8-man rotations at some point, and he will give 40 minutes to a player as good as Brandon Rush in his 36-year-old season. So things are going to blow up at some point. He's going to kill Derrick Rose, too. He might just put him out there and just say, "This is it, son. This is it. We're finally done. We're finally done." Bam! And then he's just going to blow his brain out.
Tom Thibodeau and his conspiracy to end Derrick Rose's career. It's still ongoing.
Yep.
It's like, if anyone's going to tear those legs
one
off, it's going to be
last time, Derrick.
But,
get over here.
Exactly. But so 5, I have the Hawks. I think they're way better than the Knicks. I just think they're super inconsistent defensively, and they're going to have to figure that out throughout the season. Also, they have injury prone. I wouldn't say injury prone players, but they are more prone to injury than the Knicks are. So I think that'll play a factor. 6, I have the 76ers, assuming Ben Simmons stays. Assuming he doesn't get traded. I took this as right now. I didn't account for any trades. So if Ben Simmons stays, it's going to be unspaced. Nobody's going to want to play with each other. I think they'll make a 6 seed. I don't think he will stay the whole season. Yeah. But I think if it was right now, they're a 6 seed.
Either way, I had them at the 5. You got them at the 6. I think with or without Ben Simmons, they're going to take a step back. They were a faux 1 seed.
Yeah, they were. Definitely. So 7, I think we agree on this one too. You said Bulls, I say Bulls. Same reasons, inconsistent. I don't think they can hold defense, not even inconsistent defense. I just don't think they can have a good defense. I think they'll do fine offensively, but they got a lot to figure out this season. I think next season will be next season's the season where they're like, this is what we can do. But this season's a real test, especially with all their new players, and even I think they're still in the market for different players, especially a better power forward, a defensive one, depending upon what they do with Lowry Markkanen, who still has not signed at this moment.
Yeah, Lowry Markkanen doesn't want to be on that team. He's made it clear, and he said to the Finnish press that he wants a new start on a new team. But the Bulls are standing firm. They're saying, you got to trade us a first-round pick to make it happen. And Lowry Markkanen wants to get paid $15 million over 4 years. So I don't know what team's going to give up a first-round pick just to pay Lowry Markkanen $15 million a year. I hope it's not the Timberwolves.
I think it could have been communicated better, where they got to keep Thad Young and just threw Lowry Markkanen in that trade for DeRozan. I think that would
have been awesome. That's what was rumored. I thought that's what was going to happen because it seemed like the Spurs were maybe even a little interested in him. Then all of a sudden it was
just vetoed it or something. Lowry did because on a sign and trade the player has to agree.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it was kind of a bummer though because Thad's a good player. Would have been nice to keep him around on a playoff team.
He's not a shot blocker, which I think can help them, but he's a solid vet. He can play pretty good defense too.
He's a good passer.
Yeah, he's good all around. He's a market.
The 13-year vet, you know.
He's a good Draymond Green type. Just can't really shoot threes. He can shoot threes.
Yeah.
Worse than Draymond.
Yeah, he's like CVS Draymond Green.
Yeah. So 8, I have the Celtics. I just don't think they're going to be that great this year. Who's their starting point guard? I mean, I assume Dennis Schroeder would be their starting point guard.
No, Marcus Smart has got to be
Marcus Smart. Do you think he's going to be? I think. I guess it's hard to see. I don't trust Marcus Smart as the primary playmaker. I don't think that's. Well, it could just be Tatum too as a point forward, but we'll.
I think you need Smart's. I think you need Smart's defense out there. He's a way better player than people give him credit for, and he's definitely miles better than Dennis Schroeder, in my opinion.
Yeah, less hole. He fits his role better than Dennis Schroeder does, definitely. But yeah. I just don't think they're going to be that great. And then we agreed on 9 and 10 too, Hornets and Raptors.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought about putting the Pacers in at 10, but I just don't think they can make that. I just don't think they could beat out the Raptors. They're going to have a very iffy season, especially with dealing with Karras and Brogdon's injuries. Brogdon's coming off injury, and Karras, we'll see how he does with his blood clots.
Well, I think Karras is good at this point. I think they really like what they've got with him and Sabonis as really their best young players at this point. Mm-hmm. I really thought they were going to trade Miles Turner. That hasn't happened yet.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen before the season starts. I think rosters are pretty set until we have a player just randomly say he's going to request a trade.
Well,
Turner's going to do that.
Yeah, Melo wasn't traded to OKC until a week before the season started, so it's possible. I think the Pacers want to trade him. I don't think they want him there because I think O'Shea Brissett really showed out, and they're like, "That's the guy we want as our center." He had some really valuable minutes at the end of the season. But great.
Yeah.